Why is my back bugging me so much? Oh, I forgot even to add what I was doing for the discharge depot today too. Crap.
I've been sore too, man. I've been so sore. I had to take a nap yesterday. It was tough. Whole body sore.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You think we're getting any viewers here with the Bruins playing tonight?
When does that start?
Now it's going on. I think they're winning.
Oh well, I mean, our entire audience isn't just Boston, New England people, and there are probably some people who want breaks in between, and people like me who have YouTube TV and can't watch the Bruins games because.
Do you like YouTube TV?
I loved it, and I'm not getting rid of it for the Red Sox and the Bruins. I'd rather I have MLB TV, so I'm just going to watch baseball there.
But you can watch the Celtics though.
I can watch the Celtics. Yep.
How about the Patriots?
Mm-hmm. But but I don't know if I'd recommend it now because then you're going to lose two. I mean, actually, you don't care about hockey. And you don't care about the Red Sox.
Not necessarily. I would like to watch the Red Sox every now and again, but it's not like I don't need it. But the Celtics and the Patriots would be the two of the four there because Comcast or Xfinity or whatever we have at this point like pulled the okie doke. You sign up for like the 2-year agreement at $99 a month or whatever for their like triple play package.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contract goes, after the 2 years is up, we're in the third year of it. And now our bill went from like $110 a month to like $250 a month. And we're like, forget this. Are you kidding me? Like, we might just cut the cord and go all, YouTube TV, internet, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then whatever streaming service.
YouTube TV's been hiking up the prices like year by year too. It is.
I know that's my concern.
And the thing with YouTube TV too is you still need the internet from like Comcast or whatever.
Right. So and I feel like that they charge that like to get the internet from them, just the internet from whatever your internet provider is or your cable provider is like the most expensive. That's why they want you to get like the cable, the internet, and like the home phone or something.
It was a good hack for a while, but now if you're not able to share it with other people, then we
should do that. If can we share it? Because I'd share you some of my stuff.
I have that with somebody as in my parents.
Oh, I see. Already
and
accounted
it's only
for.
Yes. Otherwise,
story of my life.
Otherwise, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have? Well, you have the Fire Stick for everything else, right?
Yeah, I do. I actually got to set that up, and thank you. I got to actually reach out to our guy Brian a little later today about that. He was asking about some ways to hack into it. So I think it's Kodi and I think it's Exodus are the two programs. I was gifted to me.
Oh,
so I didn't actually jailbreak it myself, but those were the two programs that I would use. But anyway, that's a good reminder.
You're welcome.
All right, you want to get started here? What do you say? Enough just complaining about the cable bill.
Yeah, Joe wants to know if I'm enjoying my MLB TV because he's the one that hooked me up with it. So I love it.
Oh, it's see.
Okay. I love watching all baseball besides the Red Sox. Like I don't need to watch them.
See, that is the untapped resource of the DSG here. Is I think we need to start sharing each other's accounts more.
Yeah, I had to buy Hulu to watch. I mean, I was on the free month, but I had to get Hulu for MODOK.
I would have given. Why don't you ask me for it, man? I told you I would have given it to you.
I thought you had it all like the way your stuff is set up that you couldn't share it.
No, I don't. I think I can.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, cancel it.
All right, then we may need to have to share some notes then on something.
Yeah, we should. That's like that's what we did in college when I was in the fraternity. Like all the older people who had the same classes and the same majors. Mm-hmm. Like the same teachers that were around there would keep the syllabus and redo the same classes and stuff, and they would just give you all the tests that they would keep as like a study guide. Right? I'm sure the baseball guys did that too.
I was in journalism classes. I was the only guy. I was the first guy under my coach.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was the first guy under my coach in his 30 years or whatever that was a 4-year journalism student. So,
but even for like the core classes, like your English and core, stuff like that. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but
that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah.
No, I totally. I'm there with you. But yeah. All right.
Let's do it here. All right. All right. 3, 2, 1. Nick, I had given up my body. I thought mine's the only thing I have left. I should at least try to elevate that. So I sat with gurus and sacred podcasters. Producers carried me to mountaintops to see holy influencers. And finally, Nick, I found my teacher. And my mind was elevated. and my spirit deepened. And somehow, Nick, some way, I changed my mind. I am Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Ben in a Ditch hatchback to my Bannister crumble bench, Mr. Nicholas J. Askfryer, comedian for hire.
I could never get his name right for the longest time. And now I can. It's Cumberbatch, but I always thought it was like Cumberpatch, like the Cabbage Patch Kids.
Like Sour Patch Kids, something like that. Sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Never could get it right. But I'll tell you what, Wes, that was one of your better intros that you've ever done so far.
I enjoyed that. As soon as I saw that little monologue from our guy Benjamin Bratt, I was like, mark that down, Nick. We're gonna tap right into that. And of course, if you haven't already guessed, we're cracking open the MCU Rewatch Vault once again to discuss 2016's Doctor Strange, the second installment of Phase 3. So we're plugging right along here, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were going through it too, because there's a certain note and people will figure out when, I was like confused where we were at in the Rewatch Vault. But now it's all clear to me. I knew we were at Strange as I'm rewatching it, but just the timelines. This is kind of where things start to get a little bit more confusing with that stuff.
I was just going to say, I feel like things kind of get jumbled because I thought Black Panther came out before Doctor Strange, and that was the last movie before Avengers Infinity War, right? If I'm not mistaken. So this whole thing kind of gets jumbled together from right around here to up into Infinity War for me. Mm-hmm.
And Strange is one that can easily like fall into like the fall through the cracks, because as much as
it did.
I think, yeah, I mean, as much as it was a good movie, and we'll talk about it more in detail, but it's one of those ones where it's just like, it's a character who is important and carries a lot of weight, but you don't necessarily like feel too strongly about him because it's just, I don't know, he's like so overpowered.
I think much like, and I think you made a lot of great points there, much like Captain Marvel, I think this character gets better in additional movies as a supporting role than what we've seen in their standalone films. But we will be diving into that momentarily, Nick, because before we get into all of that, my intro question for you is, can you recall the last really bad haircut you had?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a mullet for after college for a little bit. So
so let me rephrase this. Not one that not like a jokingly thing that you kind of did as like a joke or something in high school, but like you get a haircut and you just got like a bad job.
I think that happened to me once, and it's like that memory sticks out to me, but I cannot remember who did it, and I can't remember exactly what it looked like. But I definitely have had one, and it's really it. Only one, I think, in my entire life, because for the longest time I was just buzz cut.
Yeah, and it makes that easy. I agree. For a long time, I was too. You can't really screw that up. And now I might have asked you this before. There's a reason to this.
Yeah.
Do you go to the same barber every time? Do you have like a select person? How long have you been going to this person?
I've had the same person for the past at least 2 years. It takes a lot for me to I change but for when I was a kid and I got buzz cuts, I just went to master cuts.
Okay. So I typically go to like a pro cut, super cuts place because I like convenience. I want to go on my time, not on their time. I get a pretty generic, easy haircut as it is. A 3 on the sides, just trim shorten up the top. I wear it kind of spiked up in the middle. That's kind of what I say to them every time for the last 8, 9, 10 years or so. And for as much shit as I get for going to pro cuts or super cuts or anything that's like the, I don't know, candy, gas station store. I don't know, whatever. It's pretty generic, but I can't go to my usual super cuts on Saturday morning because it's packed. 9:30 in the morning, can't get in there. So I go around the corner to this barbershop where I've gone before as a backup. The guy's really nice, owner-operated barbershop there, just one person. I walk in, no one's in there. I was like, hey, you got a few minutes to fit me in? Yeah, sure. Now, my mistake is I think I'm talking a little too much here during this whole sit-down period. I usually don't talk a lot in the barber. And I don't know what happens, but he did something very screwed up to my hair. Look at to the side. I can't show you the back. It was so bad that I had to have my father-in-law's girlfriend, who was a hairdresser, come in and do some maintenance work. I tried to do a little bit of maintenance work on it with some buzzers with like my beard trimmer. Big mistake. I took a big chunk out of my hair right out of the front. And I was like, nope, did that. Not doing that again. So I'm worried right now. The hair was I feel like Samson.
No, well, we're watching on through the camera. I think you look fine. I mean,
The father-in-law's girlfriend did a fantastic job of
okay,
kind of fixing what was otherwise a very scary situation, because it was a lot longer on the top, but like half of it was cut off. They cut off my like sideburns without even asking. Like, and I've
really?
gone to this guy before; he's good. And like the asshole that I am, I gave him 100% tip. Like it was $18. I gave him like $36, $35 or something.
What?
Because it was dark in the place. Like I didn't really like realize it at the time. It wasn't until like I got home and like really like showered and looked at it. I was like, oh man, dude,
that's how much you tip somebody for your haircuts?
Well, I was feeling generous,
Oh Jesus, West. Yeah, I mean that's very generous. I've never heard of that in my life. But
I just don't know what was going on. Like I said, the back is all messed up. It's certainly not a 3. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, either way,
difficult.
you did remind me that part of my really bad haircut was the neck, the line on the back of my head, but I still can't remember exactly who did it. I feel like it was a Master Cuts person, but it was so long ago. But I do remember my brother's worst haircut because he, like us, has a widow's peak, and the person tried to like line his stuff up, and he was like a little kid, and he looked so stupid. He was like, my brother's a pipsqueak for the longest time. He's now taller than me, but he had like he looked so bad. His head looked so weird, and it was so brutal. It was just a little thing. Just got rid of his widow's peak and rounded it out like a lineup. It's like, no, that's not.
Changes the whole landscape of the face.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine me with just a straight, like a circle or across the top, like it rounded
a nice
out?
little square, like a square line up there? I can see that.
Oh,
it would look fresh.
It would look well. His was like, I'm sorry, his looked like a circle more than anything. It was terrible. It was awful.
Maybe rock like a black beater with like a gold Jesus chain or something like that. Gold cross. Yeah,
I gotta
like
get that Padres chain, that big one, like Flavor Flav.
Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. I know what time it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, Loki on Disney Plus premieres a mere 48 hours from now, seemingly. I can't do math. This Wednesday. How's that?
Yep.
Any last minute predictions, hopes, dreams, fears,
no,
desires?
I don't really have any predictions necessarily, but I would just like a lot of like hijinks. I want to see a lot of historical characters, and that could be like someone like, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln or
Vampire Hunter.
As a vampire hunter would be great, or I'd be totally content with seeing different characters, that like Marvel characters maybe that were sprinkled in throughout history that Loki crosses paths with. So just little things like that. Obviously we're going to get a storyline in some capacity, like a linear thing, but I'd like
get out of town, a show with a storyline. You don't say. Spoiler.
Well, yes, I mean more like like with MODOK, right, where we talked about it being Robot Chicken. If Loki was like Robot Chicken, I would be totally cool with that. We're not going to get that, but I would like a lot of like stuff that takes us away from.
That would be interesting, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, have that the storyline drives the bus, fine, but it doesn't need to be dominating the entire time, I guess.
I think this is going to be probably, and this is not for me saying, this is Kevin Feige, who thinks that this is going to have the biggest connection to the MCU to date for the Disney Plus shows. Not that that's a whole lot, between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. But so I think that's going to be the case. I think the first episode is going to be what you're going to see with a lot of these Disney Plus shows, right? So it's going to be something for us fans who have been following along for these 25 titles now and IPs. That's going to kind of introduce the storyline, but it's also going to reintroduce Loki and what his backstory is to all of the newcomers, right? So they want to make this digestible and viewable for everybody, right? Not just like the diehard Marvel fans. So I think this first episode is going to be, a bit of a slog, bit of a build up, and just kind of remind you of who Loki is, what he's about, and how we got to this point. And it's going to be 6 episodes from what I've seen on IMDb, roughly 45, 50 minutes each. So right around that same time as Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And we have said this for a little while. We both, I don't know if you still feel this way, but I expect this to be the best Marvel show of the year.
This is what I've been most excited for. I think I've said that, from the jump here when everything was kind of announced. I think this Loki show was the one that definitely caught my eye to it.
Well, I was excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier big time, but after seeing what they did with WandaVision and how they were just the craziness they were able to, it ensued in that series, I was like, okay, with you do this with Wanda and Vision, who the latter I could give two shits about. Now you're gonna go have Loki. That shit should be absolutely crackers. So I feel like if this isn't the best one of the three, I mean, sure, I can still give it a good grade, but I'm going to be disappointed if it's not better than it clearly better than one.
We're definitely going to be disappointed. There's going to be some hype buildup of Reed Richards or something, some connection in there and stuff, and then it's not going to happen. And then,
well, don't buy into it, Wes. I mean, I
can't help myself. It's the human condition.
No, you're smart. You're smarter than that. You're not goo. Okay. You can easily just ignore the noise. I know you guys got to do it for the show and stuff like that, but you can talk about it, but you don't have to necessarily buy into it.
Well, I think it was the great German philosophizer Nietzsche who says, "Be careful when you stare into the abyss, because the abyss may stare back at you."
Okay. Not entirely sure how that's applicable to this situation, and maybe it's just because I'm too stupid, which would be ironical.
Well, maybe those are your words, not mine. But when you deal with rumor and speculation all the time, it's hard not to get swept up in rumor and speculation.
Why didn't you just say that in the first place?
Because that sounded smarter, Nick. All right, that's all I was trying to do. I was on my high horse for a minute. Okay.
For a minute. Okay, sure. All right, let's see what else we got. It looks like so. Is it the Illuminati that's reporting this about the Black Panther news?
That's where I first saw it. I'm sure it's probably multiple outlets at this point.
No, but I think they had it first. I'm pretty sure you're right, because I saw Geeks Worldwide wrote that up, and I know they trust Illuminati, but apparently, I'm gonna get this name wrong here, but it's my job to do the castings now. Kenak Huerta from Narcos is gonna be playing Namor in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So
yeah, that is big news. Of course, you might know him from Narcos Mexico. I don't.
I don't either.
I recognize the face. I gave him a quick Google search there, so I recognize the face a little bit. But this is big news, right? This was highly speculated. Once again, dealing in rumor and speculation here. That Namor was going to be introduced in Black Panther and Black Panther 2, I should say. Of course, kind of getting the tease from Okoye at Avengers Endgame, right? With those type of volcanoes or activity or whatever.
I just want to, real quick, Wes, but you can continue after this. I just want to be known that the first person in the DSG to notice that, and this is pre-DSG, of course, this movie, but we obviously listened to all each other's shows. I was the first one to make note of that, and then we heard other guys talk about it after the fact. But it was me first. I connected the dots. I just want
# Nick deserves credit.
Yes, thank you. Yes, for once, I would like a little bit of fucking credit. My God, thank you.
The credit train is getting passed around a lot recently, and it hasn't really stopped at Nick Fryer. I think it needs to stop to Friartown.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But as for, and I want to give you credit for saying Namor, because I perpetually say Namor, and I'm always going to do it, but I am incorrect. As far as I know, it is Namor. Once we get this movie, we will know.
What were you? So I say Namor, you say
Namor.
Oh, I see.
But I believe
break it up after the M.
I am 95% sure you are correct. I just never get it right, because I've always thought it just reads as Namor to me, like looking at it. Doesn't it look like Namor?
Yeah, I always said Namor. I don't know. Who knows? Now you got me second guessing myself.
I think you're right. I'm telling you, you're right.
Production is. I don't even know. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know left from right, up and down.
Right.
What is Starbird again? If we're talking with Namor and nautical directions, production set to start in July with an anticipated July 8th, 2022 release date. Now, this is kind of exciting, but I would have liked a more of a Doctor Doom tie in here with Wakanda Forever, more so than the Namor thing, just because I am a bigger Fantastic Four fan than I don't really know Namor. I don't know.
Nobody cares about Namor. Right?
He seems like the knockoff version of Aquaman. I don't know who came first in that chicken or the egg situation there, but Aquaman seems like the more popular of the two.
I don't think. Well, you know what, Wes?
He's the more known one, I think. If you ask like the average kid or growing up or something, I don't know.
Does that more have to do with the character? Like, is that more a knock on what DC has tried to push more so through the years, or is that more a knock on what the character?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Because Namor's also,
like Atlanteans, like, right? Like, I think
He's-
Aquaman's probably the more famous.
He is a mutant, and we've seen him where he's had a thing with Sue Storm in the comics, and then like in X-Men Red, which I talked about on TLDR a while back, he had a prominent role in that as well. And I mean, look, I like what they did with Momoa with Aquaman, because in general, I'm not a huge fan. My brother actually gave Aquaman a chance. I think it was Rebirth, or I can't remember what he read, but he actually liked what they did with the character there. I haven't read any Aquaman before. I don't ever really plan to, but with Momoa, it was good. With Namor, from what I've seen in the comics, I don't think you want to try and change too much with him. Like, he started out as a villain. He's kind of a dick. I would, and don't get me wrong, he acts as a hero, but I would kind of lean into what the character has been in the comics and just work off of that. Don't try and reinvent it like you did with Aquaman. Or DC.
Keep him with a dick. We're coming into a little bit of a void now with no Tony Stark, right? You don't really have that dickhead role there, and maybe Doctor Strange kind of fills that void. But then, who fills Doctor Strange's void here? So, I think we have an opening for another kind of dickish hero, good guy, but maybe a bad guy.
You got to be careful with this. All these dicks in those openings. It's going to get really messy at one point. So just
dicks and openings. Yeah, well, put it right in my mouth, I guess. Nick. Speaking of the hashtag Nick deserves credit train, did you uncover Jeff Bezos as the real life Lex Luthor?
So I tweeted this out, and I cannot remember what Instagram account I found it from. But if you go find my account on Twitter at @Fry_Guy1.
Your worlds are colliding.
Yeah, but I tweeted, and I credited that account there. But it was, what was it? It was the artwork from Invincible, where Omni-Man's talking to Mark, but Omni-Man is wearing what's the guy from The Boys? Why am I forgetting his name right now? The Superman. Why can't I remember his name? Do you remember it?
No. Why can't I think
look it up? Look it up for me real quick.
Oh my God,
I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, he's talking to Mark and basically saying, I can't remember. I don't have the words exactly in front of me, but. Why
Homelander, bam, got
Homelander,
it. Wow.
Thank you. Why do you think Amazon is trying to get people to hate Superman-like characters? Because, of course, Omni-Man, and then, again, Homelander. Jesus. And Homelander are both Superman-like characters. And then we get right under that image, we have Jeff Bezos and a picture of Lex Luthor, and they look exactly the same. So Jeff Bezos is Lex Luthor. There you go.
He's going to space now. Like he owns. I'm all for that. I love a good conspiracy theory. You know that I love when comic books imitate real life, art imitates real life, or life imitating art. Who knows? I like it.
I cannot believe that the Homelander was like just completely escaping me.
I know that's bad. That's bad for us. Let's see if we can regroup here in the comic book minute, Nick.
Yes. So the two books that I want to highlight for this week are both from DC Comics. We have Future State Gotham issue 2, which I'm reviewing this and the next book for Geeks Worldwide. Future State Gotham is focused on Red Hood. I like the story. I like the artwork, but this is in black and white. And I did not realize this when I reviewed the first issue. I knew it was in black and white in the first issue, but I just assumed, okay, I didn't get something's wrong with my review copy. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm not going to go and bring that up. I'm not going to go and bug the people at DC about it. And then Joe tells me after the fact, it's in black and white. What is the deal? Okay. And then same thing with the second issue, still black and white. I don't think you can do books in black and white and it works. Sure. And the art in here is good enough to be in black and white by itself in general, but the way you have the first two covers, the colors are very vibrant. This is like in the future. It's all like neo colored and it has like that kind of Blade Runner vibe to it. And then it's in black and white. So the expectations are for something completely different. And then you give it I still gave it a good grade, but it's just like all the points I take off are because of the lack of color. And I don't understand who made that decision, but it was a pretty dumb one. Conversely, Batman Urban Legends issue 4 is out this week, and that has been outstanding. And I love the Red Hood story there, but but Grifter, who's a Jim Lee creation from his Image days that he brought over to DC, there have been some awesome cameos in there. And as there was at one point, I think it was in the second issue, we saw. This is a spoiler if you plan on going back and reading this and you haven't read it already. In the second issue, Red Hood shows up with Grifter. And I was all about it. And then in this issue, we see another DC character that I absolutely love. I won't say who it is this time because it's not out at this point.
Teased,
but
yeah.
Another character that I absolutely love. And then we see another character who I'm hoping their appearance means we're going to see a lot of different stuff from Jim Lee creations in the past that he brought over to DC. So a lot of cool stuff. The Grifter stories have been absolutely must reads, and I think Red Hood has too. So if you're not reading this and you're a Red Hood fan, you're missing out for sure. As for more comic book stuff later in the week, of course, on TLDR, we're always broadcasting on Wednesdays. We may or may not have an interview coming up this week, but I'm not going to jinx it or anything until it's done. I won't tell you guys who it is.
Okay.
But Joe is going to be talking Coyotes, which is a Sean Lewis book from Image Comics. And I'm going to be talking The Red Mother, which is a horror book from Boom Studios. And should not be reading that thing at night. I'll tell you that, Wes.
Oh, I like that. I'm intrigued. Actually, I don't like that. I'm a little bit worried for you and your bed sheets in case you wet the bed at night.
Well, I think I've grown past those days. I mean, it did last into college, but that's a whole nother issue.
Well, I keep throwing back those whiskeys and scotches like you are. Who knows?
I did actually have a teammate who was like a notorious bedwetter, and it was like unlike anything I've ever heard of.
Yeah, my roommate was like, he was constantly flipping mattresses, you'd wake up in the morning, he had the fan running and like the mattress is on his side, and he's like, yeah.
He had one time though where he was so shit faced that he, this was freshman year, he was drunk, woke up, went to go, he went and peed on our RA's door handle. Thankfully, our RA was an awesome dude. But he went. It was like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Did the RA know? How would he have known?
Oh, he found out right after the fact. He heard the noise outside because a bunch of guys were there from the
was
hall.
he eating asparagus or something? What's going on here?
He just but he was like, dude, you can't do that. What are you doing? He let it go, and my roommate tried to clean it up, but can't really do that. But there was other things.
It's there, yeah. It seeps in, gets into the fabrics.
He actually pissed somewhere else and got another one of my teammates in trouble, because somebody thought that kid pissed. Oh, it's a mess. Anyways, enough pee talk. We're not dorks.
It's a piss and good time. Let's get to the main topic, shall we? You hear that noise, Nick? Do you hear that noise out there? That's the creaking of the MCU Rewatch Vault.
Oh shit! I thought you
opening back up again.
Damn it.
Because it's wide open for 2016's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, while on a journey of physical and spiritual healing, a brilliant neurosurgeon is drawn into the world of the mystic arts, Nick.
And let's see who the cast and crew is for this. So it was directed by Scott Derrickson, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel McAdams as Dr. Christine Palmer, Chitwell Ejiofor as Mordo. What did we also see him in? What's the one from? It was Dark Horse. Now it's an Image book. The Old Guard. He was also in that.
Yeah.
Benedict Wong as Wong.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he also in? What was the other movie we did with? It was Christopher Nolan. Robert Pattinson's in it. Is he in that as well?
I think.
No, that's Denzel Washington.
That's John David Washington.
No, John David Washington. Jesus. Let's see. Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius. Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, and then Benjamin Bratt has Jonathan Pangborn. I'm surprised that he got credit.
He was great. He's getting a lot of credit here. I opened up the show with his monologue. So.
Yes, I did notice that, and I'm sure we'll talk about him a little bit more. But tell me about the ratings and the reviews.
Yes, so the critics' reception here, it's got a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 89-85 split on Rotten Tomatoes, and new to the critics' reception corner, MovieRankings.net. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. That is the Lights Camera Barstool site. You should really check it out, especially if you're having a difficult time finding movies or something to watch streaming. They rank everything and give you a synopsis of it.
And not on Barstool?
So it's MovieRankings.net, but it's the Lights Camera Barstool podcast that runs it. So they gave Doctor Strange an 85 out of 100. Giving me a weird look, like you never heard of this before.
I've heard of the podcast. I've never heard of that site. I don't understand
why the site is fairly new.
But why aren't they part on Barstool? That doesn't make sense to me.
It's an offshoot, I guess.
Okay, all right. I mean, I guess when you look at the name, that's an easy one to search. It's totally SEO friendly too. Yeah. But I'm always going to stick with IMDb, as much as I'm pretty far apart with IMDb on this one. I think that you have the most like real critics, and it's not too fan, it's not too like snooty critics like you get on the Rotten Tomatoes critics. As much as I'm actually pretty much in line with them. But as for the box office,
I think the lights, camera, barstool guys, they're in the same realm as us, same age group and stuff. So I think if we might have a lot of the similar, interest in aligned.
Maybe. Let's see. As for the box office, 677 million worldwide, 232 million domestic, ranks 15th in the MCU, ahead of Thor: The Dark World, and behind Captain America: Winter Soldier. I cannot believe how low that is on the.
I know that really is a very underrated movie.
I think if I saw if we saw like the list in front of me, then it would probably make a little bit more sense, because every time that we do it, you're pulling just what's ahead of it and what's behind it. So it probably it would make a little more sense. But
it all together there.
Yes.
So let's open it up here with a score on the tweet length review. Nick. I remember enjoying this movie in the theaters. I thought it was a great time. Awesome 3D theater experience. But this movie has become very forgettable for me. Like most of the origin movies, I would say. And that said, Strange is an uber dick in this. So I gave it an 82 out of 100. I thought it was a bit of a slog.
Okay.
I didn't really care for the villain all that much. I don't know.
Okay. Excuse me. I gave it an 89 out of 100. I think this is visually stunning. Doctor Strange's origin movie is one of the best the superhero genre has ever produced. And that's boom. And I'm just going to there.
See, I think it's just I'm beginning to hate origin stories.
That's fair.
They just all feel very formulaic, cookie cutter, and it's just like I don't care. Like, especially if we know the characters. Like if this is like Doctor Strange for all intents and purposes, like we knew pretty well. Like I love what Spider-Man did and the MCU version. He has his powers. He's ready to go. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah, but like that's a character who's been done multiple times on the big screen, so it's a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get an origin story with the mutants in some capacity too. I don't know how they're gonna do that, because that's just gonna be a whole mess. So their origin story will probably be very different. But like when you look at with Ant-Man, right? He had a pretty damn good origin story. Iron Man obviously is an exception, but I think right now that is my second high. That's tied for my second highest ranked. Origin story ranking. Yeah, at this point for the rewatch.
So with your 89 and my 82, that gives it a score of 85.5 on the CMMCU rankings. You like that there? Yes. Coming into the 7th spot currently, 7 out of 14 right now. So that's just ahead of Iron Man, or just behind Iron Man, I should say, and just ahead of Iron Man 3.
Do we want to go through the top 10 or no?
We've done it perhaps. Maybe we'll tweet it out, or we'll send that out after we air the episode and tweet all that stuff out tomorrow.
I think that is a great call. So that brings us to the award categories, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this first one here with the On Your Left award for the most rewatchable scene, because I think you hit the nail on the head. But again, I didn't find this movie very rewatchable at all, which is a huge barometer for me.
Okay. Anything astral plane related. I think so. Let's see, the mirror dimensions versus Caecilius. So that happens a little bit later on in the movie, and then I think we do get some semblance of mirror dimension stuff too at the beginning in the first fight scene between the Ancient One and Caecilius and the followers that he has at that point. Obviously, there's a lot more before the Ancient One kills them off, and then we have Dormammu, where Strange has come to bargain. I would say those 4 are the most rewatchable scenes.
Yeah. I think the one that comes to mind is when Strange first is fighting at the Bleecker Street. Why can't I think of its name? But the Bleecker Street house there. And you see all the different windows that go into the different parts of the world, whether it's like the desert, the rainforest, or like the stormy waters. And that fight in there, when he gets his cape and all that stuff, and he's all the ancient props are kind of getting broken up and everything. I think that's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, and that one was, I think that would fall under the mirror dimension stuff versus Caecilius. But I mean, like the astral plane fight, like the first time that we see the Ancient One kick Strange out was ridiculous. But my vote's probably going to go with the first fight scene. As much as the other stuff was good, it hits you right away with how crazy this movie can be. And that's, for me, I felt like this wasn't a rewatch because I hadn't rewatched it in a while. But I was like, this is a movie I can't just sit down and watch because the visuals, you really got to be locked in to appreciate them. And that's absolutely the case. And I felt like this is just, you have this whole world ending thing with Caecilius and everything. But this time around, I felt like I was able to appreciate Strange's story a lot more and his growth and everything that he endures throughout this. So it was
definitely a lot of growth.
Yeah, definitely. But still, the visuals are, and we're going to talk about it again in a second, but the visuals are what really sucked me in, and that's the thing with all of these. So that's why I'm going to give my vote to the Ancient One fight. She absolutely kicks ass too. By the way, she's the coolest character probably in the whole movie.
So she is, which is interesting. I agree with you. I love her character. I love how kind of like stoic and androgynous that she is, right, throughout all this. But she's also probably the most problematic character of the group too. So the character itself is very problematic, but the execution of Tilda Swinton, given the flammability of the role, I thought was pretty good.
And we have more with her that we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah. But you ready to head over to America's Ass Award for What Age the Best?
Yeah, and I think we already touched on a lot of this. It's the CGI, it's that theater going experience. Again, I thought that was very enjoyable. Did this build upon what Inception kind of introduced, or was this just a cheapened knockoff? I think that's a fair question. I'm not sure if that is again building upon what Inception did, or just kind of like an imitation for it.
I think it built upon it. I'm not sure. I think it built upon it. I mean, and I watched that fairly recently too. It was a few months ago, but
it was on Netflix. I think pretty recently.
Yeah, that's when I watched it. It was when it was on Netflix. But it was I thought it built upon it, and for me, look, you can't replicate what the theater does, of course. I mean, unless you have a ridiculous at-home theater, and you have to have a ridiculous one to replicate what they did in this movie. But still, even watching it here on my TV, I still thought that the visuals played very well. Throughout the entirety of all. So in the end, it's the visuals for the America's Ass Award. It is not really a debate for this one.
Yeah, and when you're talking about even like the astral plane stuff, you think that fight in the ER room where Christine is trying to bring back Doctor Strange who's already wounded, and that was one of the key scenes from the comic books that when Derrickson signed on to direct this movie, he kind of, when he was building the story, it was all kind of built around, like he knew right off the bat that scene was going to be included into it, and that if any story that he was going to tell would have to have that sort of astral plane fight while also being rooted in real life at the moment. So I thought that was kind of cool.
The mirror stuff, the mirror world stuff that he did to realm, dimension, whatever. He like in that moment where it's all like really hyper crystallized was so cool too.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of mirrors, Nick, very, very well timed here. The Mirror Match Villain Award for What Age the Worst. Do you mind if I lead this one off here?
No, go for it, please.
So this one, I'm going to knock two off here. So it's the car accident scene, right? But it's also the disclaimer at the end that says about texting and driving or distracted driving at the end. That's a little age the worst, a little late for that, right? The whole movie starts with the car accident, and then 2 hours later, you're like, maybe don't text and drive. But what I hate about the car accident scene, it's so well done, which is why I hate it. It's one of those things like you watch like Dr. Pimple Popper or like any of those type of videos.
I've seen it, yeah.
And it's like you cringe, and you can kind of like feel it. It's like how you cringe when you watch Michael Scott do something awkward. Like you kind of feel that kind of like that pain. So when Strange is going into the accident and his hands around the steering wheel get engulfed by the center console or like the dashboard, and it comes down, like I cringe every time. And then the next scene when he wakes up and his fingers are all in that thing, and it's all stapled and looks like like butchered for lack of a better term there.
Yeah,
so it's gruesome. You feel confined. I just feel like I hate it. It's like styrofoam on my ears. Like I'm like,
oh, don't. Yeah, that's awful. The styrofoam is always the freaking worst. But I would never vote for this in What Age the Worst because they did such a good job with it, and it's so freaking brutal. But I absolutely understand your point that this is like one of your least favorite moments from this movie. But it is well done. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it's like that uneasiness that you feel through Uncut Gems that you hate, and like that's why people may not like the movie, but it's a sign of the movie conveying some sort of emotion to the audience, right? Or at least like pulling some emotion from that audience.
Mm-hmm. So, definitely.
So that's kind of that love-hate thing for me there. What do you got? What's your nomination?
So the only one that I have, because I think you have a winner here. But the only one that I have right now is Caecilius not having the understanding of the ramifications of becoming one with like the dark dimension and Dormammu and everything. Like, I get the joke at the end. It is funny how like Strange overlooked that, and Strange obviously a very smart guy, photographic memory, all that crap. But he's doing the spell and he didn't look at the end. Well, how does Caecilius not have a better understanding of what it means to become one with any other being? I feel like it's going to be problematic.
Yeah. Anything when you deal with something that's like called a dark dimension, I don't know. You should maybe read the fine print before you're diving into something like that.
Yeah, maybe it's just like, talk to the Ancient One about what's going on. I mean, the Ancient One, I will say the Ancient One's decision to not tell others.
She's kind of a shady bitch.
She is, and I think. Sure, that's one way to put it. But what you have something about her for What Age the Worst, and I think it's actually an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, her whole role, right, of the Ancient One being a Celtic living in Tibet, is very odd to me. How did that end up there? How did it get accepted? How come a Tibetan person isn't the Ancient One in Tibet, right? Derrickson has described this as being as a no-win situation because obviously they're selling this movie in China. We went over the box office numbers, right? It was like 657 million worldwide. Like a quarter of 250 million of that was domestically. So the other 400 million came overseas, well more than what was made here. A good majority of that had to be from China. Whatever conflicts China and Tibet has with that, like that wasn't going to be the case there, right? So that wasn't going to be allowed.
It's one
Do
of those.
You whitewash the role at that point, and then you get all right. That sucks. Why not? So you can't win.
It's different. The thing is, though, it's a female playing the role. You're not just casting a male in it, so it's not like you're just straight up whitewashing. You are giving a group like a character, because you wouldn't have you only have Rich McAdam as your only female character in all of this. So I have no problem with them changing the gender in all of it. I'm fine with that. Is a male character who I believe is Tibetan or something to that effect in like that part of the world. That character is native to that part of the world. So it is strange. That said, I like Tilda Swinton quite a bit. I've, just to make sure that I mentioned Constantine at least once in this episode. She plays, is it Michael that she plays in one of the archangels, but obviously a huge role in Constantine. And it's a very interesting interpretation on the character. Really enjoyed what she did. So I like her a lot. So it is strange, but at least, they went and made it a different, like not straight, I guess not straight up whitewashing, but in the end it still is. So it was an odd decision.
And again, like the way, if you look on the Wikipedia, they describe it really well of what Derrickson was saying is again a no-win situation. He was talking about maybe doing an Asian woman in the role, but then like if you do like an older Asian woman, it's like offensive to a certain type of group. But if you did another one, it could be like the fetishizing of like a younger Asian woman, that Asian like younger stereotype. It was like all this different stuff that he was like talking about and like aware of at the moment.
I don't understand any of that.
It's more than just like, you can't go with an Asian person. We'll do with a white person. We'll whitewash it. We're throwing it. It actually was a lot more nuanced, and at least in his interpretation, I'm butchering that right now.
But I get your point for them in all of it. I don't understand the other stuff, but maybe it's just because I don't think about that other they're talking about. I just don't. I don't understand how it comes to that, but. I mean, Tilda Swinton did a great job, and I think she's as I rewatched the stuff that she's been in more, I really grow to appreciate her as an actor more.
No, yeah, Tilda's great. Like I said, that's not an indictment on her or anything. I thought she was one of the better parts of this movie.
But it's a good point.
It's just interesting, yeah. And again, you got to talk about it at a certain point.
But when you break down the nuance that Derrickson talks about, now it's like, okay, I don't know if I necessarily want to cast that as my vote for What Age the Worst.
We're the only podcast with the balls to talk about it here.
Yeah, exactly. Credit to you for bringing it up and doing the research.
Credit to me.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah, credit to you. Give me credit. How about that? How about Strange being like truly a dick? To keep, I think that might be a reoccurring theme here. Like I think he's more of a lovable dick in Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, all that stuff. But he's like a real jerk in this.
Yeah, he is. And you seem to be really bothered by it, at least based on when I was looking.
I just don't like him. I don't like him in this movie.
I mean, I do remember him being kind of an asshole. I don't mind it.
Tony Stark was an asshole, but you could like him at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, but you don't. But you can't have everybody be like. Not every asshole.
I know. Yes. I just don't enjoy him. Is what I'm saying.
I don't hate it because I think I've had conversations with some people that I know about doctors, and I know a few doctors, and the ones that I know are, I think, all nice people. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, but there's like a whole thing with maybe surgeons. I think like someone told me like surgeons are typically like more narcissistic. And if you're a surgeon and you listen to the show and I'm incorrect, by all means tell me, but that is what I was told. But that makes sense with Strange in this case. Like you're listening to him take that phone call, Wes, and he doesn't want to ruin his perfect record. He sounds like a lawyer who are supposed to be the real a-holes.
Right. No, of course. Wow. That's
my father's a lawyer.
You're going to get written out of the will there, Nick. But this brings up a good question here into the Quantum Realm Award for unanswerable questions. The first one that comes up is, who's the bigger asshole here, Tony Stark or Stephen Strange? And as a follow-up, is Stephen Strange the person, the least likable hero in the Avengers?
That may be the case. I think Stephen Strange is the bigger a-hole. By the way, my vote for the last category is actually the one I ended up bringing up after we talked about it enough. But I think the bigger a-hole, I think it is Stephen Strange, because what he did, I know he went through a traumatic experience and everything, but what he did to Rachel McAdams' character was Dr. Parker. Is that right?
Yeah, or like showing up his colleagues and stuff, or like Dr. Christine Palmer, and or like just the attitude that he shows up with at the Carmitage with like the jokes and everything after he just got the shit kicked out of him, like Dad lost his last dollar, he can't move his hands, and he's still like wisecracking and making smart ass remarks, like no sense of humility, like after life is just beating him into a pummel.
That is a good unanswerable question. I think I have a couple better ones though.
Okay.
So the first one that I have is, did Dr. Palmer, Rachel McAdams' character, ever go out with Dr. Nick? I don't know what his last name was, but that's the guy who declared that person dead that Stephen Strange ended up saving. Did they actually ever go out, have a relationship or anything? We don't get an answer to that.
I think so. I think it's one of those things like we saw in what movie is it? Oh, geez, I'm blanking on it. But anyway. Never mind. It's like a friend date. I'm blanking on the movie.
Yep. No, I know, but I know what you're talking about. I get that. I get
Chris
that.
O'Dowd. Chris O'Dowd.
Are you talking about with Thor?
Yeah. Natalie Portman.
Yeah, the Dark World. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
It was like a date, but it's like I'm not really into it. I'm just doing it because like I need to get back out there.
I think it's that, like that.
Yeah, like Slump Buster, something to that effect.
There we go. See, Nick, thank you. See, Nick, you deserve credit for keeping my mind abreast here.
Yes, I wonder why I had Slump Busters on my mind. Anyways, let's see. Who was the girl that Doctor Strange was going to operate on? That the one that got struck by lightning. That was one he heard about right before he died. She got struck by lightning and had an implant in her brain controlling her schizophrenia.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting, and this might go into a little bit of a spoiler alert, but this was a lot of speculation and hoopla on this phone call about who he would operate on next, and nothing really ever came to it.
No, and we'll bring up one of the other ones a little bit later on because Wes did do some research after I looked into it. But from what I saw, somebody brought up like it was a failed, like it was a Captain Marvel tease, but it didn't end up working. So I don't think.
Maybe
I don't think that's even her origin. Like in the comics.
I didn't think so either.
I don't really care about Captain Marvel comic books, but so I don't know where that one came from, but that would have been something cool. But do you have any others?
How long do you think Strange was in the Carmitage?
That is a great question. And
how long would it take you to become a master of the mystics? 2 years, 3 years, 6 months?
It had to be a couple years, right?
Well, you take an accelerated course.
It had to be a couple. Well, he's brilliant, and they said he was meant to be in the mystic arts.
Yeah, I understand that, but if you're starting from scratch, square one, like how long you can't even move your hands, like you have to overcome that. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the same thing we talk about in Batman Begins with Christian Bale, right, and Bruce Wayne. There, how long is he at the
what are they called? It's the
Ra's al Ghul's place, the League of Shadows. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how long is it there? How long does it take him for 10,000 hours at least?
Yeah, I don't. One would think that he was there for quite a long time. God, I just thinking about that too. How badass Ra's al Ghul is, and you have Liam Neeson. He totally underutilized that character. Like, I love the Christopher Nolan Batman stuff, but man, anyways,
yeah, the Batman Begins, Mac maybe deserves some credit there. Leaves a little bit to be desired. Anything? This is more of just like a hypothetical question. Where's Stephen Strange's family during his life-threatening car accident?
Something tells me he doesn't have any family.
Is he like the Aaron Rodgers of the MCU?
I would think he's probably...
He definitely is the Aaron Rodgers of the MCU.
That may be what he is. I would guess that he's probably estranged with his family.
Oh, get out of town, Nick. Get out of town. That is fantastic.
Not sorry about it.
Oh, man, that is good. That's damn good. All right. Aside from that, what do you choose here as your unanswerable question?
I think I honestly, Wes, I got to go with the date question. I think you raised a good point, and it makes a ton of sense. But we still do not know if Dr. Palmer or Dr. Nick went out on a date or had a relationship.
So you said I made a good point.
You made a good point when you said that it was probably like a friend date thing.
Okay.
That is what I want to know.
Okay, I like that. Okay, let's go with that there.
All right. So now
what does it all mean, Nick? What does it all mean? The top Easter eggs and ties to the MCU. What's the mid-credit scene that we get?
Thor was finally returned to Earth, looking for Odin, which we find out more about what's going on with that later. Apparently, Odin's not dead after the events of the Dark World, and Strange offers some help.
Very interesting. Yes, the post-credit scene, we get Mordo, who tracks down our guy Pangborn and takes away his powers, making him paralyzed once again. Of course, Mordo wants to rid the world of all the unnecessary sorcerers. There's too many of them. Yeah,
that poor dude, man. That was he did. I'll tell you what, like he did that acting job he did at the end was like I'd forgotten. I thought he just straight up killed him, but he stole his powers. That was brutal.
It's tough.
Very well done,
man.
Yeah, Pangborn did what's the actor's name again? I know he's from
Benjamin Bratt.
So wasn't he in Law and Order for a while?
He was in one of those shows, NYPD Blue or something like that.
And he was in Miss
Law and Order, Homicide,
right?
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember from Miss Congeniality. As for Stan Lee's cameo, that was during the battle with Caecilius and Mordo. Strange falls onto a bus window with Lee reading a book titled The Doors of Perception while the setting is shape-shifting or whatever. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yes.
Yes, and another one is Palmer plays the role of the night nurse in some comic book storylines, Nick. You should know this, as did Rosario Dawson's character in the MCU Netflix series. Feige has stated that they could explore Palmer's night nurse storyline in the future. Of course, this was 2016, so we are in the future, according to this, and that hasn't happened yet, so I don't imagine it would. Is she in Multiverse of Madness?
I do not know, but you still could have her, and you don't necessarily do that because if you're bringing in some of the characters from the Marvel Netflix verse, you could still bring in Rosario Dawson's character, right?
Right, have them both in there, yeah.
Now, the other mention, the other like allusion to possibly a important Marvel character on that phone call with Billy. I don't know if it was our guy Billy D or if it was another Billy. I'm pretty fucking confused.
You mean Billy me or Billy him?
I don't know. Your name's Billy too. Anyways, so they have so Strange has that phone call. There's mention of the old lady. There's mention of the girl that I mentioned earlier that was struck by lightning, schizophrenia, implant, all that stuff in her brain. Then there's this one guy who I think is the first one we hear about, and he is a 35-year-old Air Force colonel who crushed his lower spine in some kind of experimental armor. I initially think, it's obviously Rhodey because this came out after Civil War. But as you found out in your research, Wes, there's no way with the timeline and everything that this is necessarily the case. More importantly, Rhodey is absolutely not 35 years old in this. I mean, you're not going to.
It's weird that they would say that though, because obviously your illusions are because Civil War is fresh in our minds at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's kind of Bush League that they would write that in there. It's kind of dumb.
So in reality, Wes, once you told me that I was incorrect in thinking it was Rhodey, I should have moved this into unanswerable questions and asked, well, who is that colonel? Like, what armor was he wearing? Was it Hammer Tech?
And like, if you're not going to have any sort, and I like the Hammer tech, I love the Justin Hammer reference. Give justice for Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do something like this, where you have this sort of thing, and like it's so clearly like ripe to have an Easter egg moment here, and not do it, then why do it at all?
Yeah, I don't know. You just try. I guess you're just trying to get you to think a little bit. I don't.
Yes.
I don't know. That's one of those weird ones. But one thing they definitely planted a seed in our brain was with all the mentions of multiverse. The Ancient One does it through, like she first does it when Strange has his first like crazy trip. Then she talks about like when they're first using the magic and everything, like harnessing the power from other dimensions of the multiverse. And it's just more mentioned. I think Mordo mentions it throughout. We just hear a bunch of it. Totally planting the seeds for like, hey, we're going to get multiverse shit. We know this is coming in. This is why Strange is such an important character and why you have to be invested in this movie. But for me, I think I got to give it to that one because as much as we knew multiverses were in play, it really, like they did it where it maybe was a little forced, but it didn't feel like, all right, we fucked, like it wasn't like beating us over the head with it. It was just enough to like, hey, it's coming and this is where it all matters. So pay the fuck attention.
Wake up.
Yes, exactly.
You weren't talking to me right there because I was absolutely paying attention.
No, credit to you for paying attention to me through that whole monologue there.
What'd you say? The Shield Internet Sleuth Award for Internet Research on the movie. Put on our Scoopy Internet Sleuth hats here. Mysticism / spirituality apparently plays a big role in Cumberbatch's life, who spent a gap year teaching English at a Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Darjeeling, India.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah. All right. I would. I hear gap year, and I just don't know why it makes me laugh. The idea of that.
With all the talks of dicks and gaps,
I wasn't even thinking that
on the brain. Astrophysicist Adam Frank served as a scientific consultant on the film. He noted that modern moviegoers may not necessarily understand these complex scientific ideas, but do appear to appreciate that, quote, amazing things happen from science. So by grounding your stories enough in science to not so much make them plausible, but to allow that science to open up new possibilities. Science.
Sometimes with scientists, it's like they have to have, like, it has to be proven or whatever. What is it that what's the show? Big Bang Theory, right? Sheldon's the main character. Sure. I've watched it very sparingly, but the character is like it's not hypothetical scientist, but what's the oh my god, theoretical physicist. That's what the word I was going for. How the fuck is that? Are you a scientist if you're dealing with theoretical bullshit constantly and just come up with these wacky ass theories? I'm not saying some of the stuff is incorrect necessarily, but it's just like we're trying to figure out X, Y, and Z, and you're here going and doing like A, B, X, Zelda, and it's like doesn't make. Where the fuck did you get to that? And what the hell does it matter? You're so smart. Why are we wasting our time dealing with these bullshit theories that you're going through? You can solve other important shit.
If I may, I think I hear you, Nick. And if I could surmise what you're saying, it's that you're asking what's the difference between a conspiracy theorist and a theoretical scientist.
That's a great point. They're
both dealing in theories.
Yeah, exactly. I think that theory right there is a great one and worth our time and worth discussing further on another podcast. Good point, Wes. And
perhaps we'll change some minds here.
Yeah, this is already gets my vote because of that.
How about this? How about Derrickson wanted Nightmare to be the film's antagonist, along with the concept of nightmares themselves as being a dimension. But Feige felt that getting across the idea of a dream dimension as another dimension would have been challenging alongside everything else that the film was trying to introduce.
Okay.
So that's maybe what we're getting here, Nightmare in Multiverse of Madness.
That would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind getting some Mephisto, though. I'm seeing him pop up a little bit in a little mini Marvel event that's going on right now, and I still want to see
talk about Mephisto.
You would think. Maybe we'll see him in Loki. Who knows? We've got to pay attention to those rumors,
Got to have a cameo, yeah.
Yes.
What if it's Owen Wilson?
What if Loki is Mephisto?
Master of Mischief. We talk about Strange being a know-it-all and a dick and a narcissist and a surgeon and stuff like that. How about this? For a guy who has a photographic memory and prides himself on being detail-oriented, if you're going through his cleanup routine, Strange attaches his own mask, breaking a septic protocol. In fact, a surgeon would put on his or her mask then scrub, then have the OR team gown and glove him or her. And another error is that he inserted his hands all the way through his gown to don gloves. Hands must never leave the sleeves, and gloves must be put on with the sleeves still covering.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I got a little confused there, and I was reading along as you were saying it, but I got the larger point that he broke like 15 different protocols, Wes.
Yes, that's it.
I want you to know that I appreciate this research, and because of that, this gets my vote, and that is so lazy on Marvel's part. Ugh, Kevin Feige should be ashamed of himself.
Well, I do in my free time like to browse the CDC website, and this just happens to be a hobby of mine. When I saw that in the movie, it kind of came up as odd to me. I was like, hey, that's weird. I'm going to mark that down, Nick. It's about 4 minutes into the movie, roughly.
I don't know if there's a career that you could make a career out of this, but I think it's important that surgeons are kept in line. So especially movie surgeons. So you should go back, check Grey's Anatomy, check Scrubs, all this kind of stuff, and report the people accordingly.
Yeah, we're going to get fact-checked on this here. We're going to get slapped with a CDC guideline censor on this.
Yeah, you know what? It's not as bad as what Davey and Goo are doing. We're getting in trouble constantly on Facebook, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Always getting. I don't know. What do they do and get in trouble?
They're using unlicensed. Yeah, copyright stuff. That's what it is. Yeah. Davey's always playing music on his stream like a dingbat at the start of it, and then Goo plays. You already know what Goo's doing with the drumline stuff.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so we'll go with that one there. How about the Edith, Even Dead, I'm the Hero award for who won the movie?
Okay, to me, it's a clear-cut answer, but you don't think anybody won this thing.
I guess it has to be Doctor Strange. I just hate him in this movie because he's just so unlikable. He doesn't deserve any awards. He doesn't deserve to be a master of the mystics.
That's part of why I like him, though, Wes. He's real. Like, we want real with some of these characters, too. We don't just want, like... But
being real equate worthy. Like, do you just being a dick if you're a dick and a jerk to everyone in your life, why are you rewarded with that just because you found this place?
I think that is a fair question. And then maybe one could argue that he was meant to go on that path where he was able to get by on his intellect the entire time. And then in doing that, he had to crumble, crash, and fall. And then that was the only way he was going to get to where he was, where he had to, again, start working his ass off and kind of be humbled into becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. How's that for on the spot?
Okay, we'll go with that. I like that.
Okay, thank you for not fighting me on that. So Doctor Strange wins this one. We go to the sad Bucky Barnes Award.
Stephen Strange lost the movie. I thought he was a big dick in this. I thought he has a big, again, just to reiterate, I thought he was just a total jerk to Christine the whole time. Again, he's just breaking rules left and right. He's very disrespectful to my man Wong, who is really one of the real A-listers, highlights of this movie. Also to Mordo and to the Ancient One, very ungrateful through it all. And the guy with no hand. The hoofless one is able to use his sling ring much better than Doctor Strange, who has all 10 of his fingers.
That wasn't actually his name, right? The hoofless one?
No.
I like that, though. That's a good one. But Wes, as much as he could still win another award, possibly, I do think that who lost the movie, it has to go to Jonathan Pangborn, just because of what happened to him at the end. He's minding his own fucking business, and then Mordo just is like, yank! See ya! Not yours anymore.
Also, I thought she did a great job. This is not so much a reflection on Rachel McAdams, but more of Dr. Christine Palmer here. Kind of a tough life. She's like an ER doctor, that's kind of brutal in the city. That's kind of a tough job. Her boyfriend and Doctor Strange kind of is verbally abusive asshole to her. Mm-hmm. And also crippled, so probably can't please her sexually. Can't do any digit stuff anymore. That's for sure. And she's just putting up with all this. And then he leaves her for 2 years to go get high on psilocybin mushrooms or something. And the poor girl just comes back and she gets thrown into him. And he's walking around in robes and stuff in the city.
I guess when you put it that way,
from her point of view, she's I don't deserve any of this.
The whole her being a surgeon thing, I'm going to discount that portion of it, because if you're in that line of work, that's usually what you want it to be.
Yeah, but it's a high burnout rate. It's just you see a lot of shit.
But for the rest of it, Wes, she gets my vote because when you just like we've talked about this before, like with some of these characters, I love Mortal Kombat, right? But I love Scorpion, but this character looks bizarre, and if he just shows up randomly in like street, like when everybody's in street clothes, it's gonna look fucking weird. Well, that's exactly what happened with Stephen Strange. She's got to deal with all this stuff like on the fly and save his life.
And like, good for her. She just like blindly accepts the whole astral plane stuff, like in a whim's notice like that. She just goes with it.
She did. She did a good job, but she definitely. I'm gonna give her the L here, but just because of everything she has to endure. Throughout all. It's not her. You're right. It's not her. It's not Rachel McAdams, but just what's going on around her. The J. Jonah Jameson Award. What?
Support Christine.
Best performance by a side character. West, we have Wong, Jonathan Pangborn, and the Ancient One.
So this is tough because there really are not a lot of characters in this, and all of them kind of play like they're not like Wong has such a reoccurring role, right? Comes up in Avengers Endgame and Infinity War and stuff. The Ancient One, of course, has a bigger role in this too. Like they don't really like. I know they're side characters, but they almost feel like that in between of a main character and a side character to me.
We have the Ancient One in here, and I almost wouldn't count her as a side character as much as like I want to give her my vote for this. I think Pangborn and Wong kind of fit into this probably best out of anybody, and you could argue that like the Dr. Nick is a side character. You can't say Mordo is. I don't think you can even say Christine.
Dr. Nick is actually a great nominee. He takes a lot of L's. He gets cucked big time.
Yeah, he probably gets, and then he ends up performing the surgery by the end of it all. But I think he's a good one. But I think I'm going to go with Wong and all this, especially when he breaks out into a fit of laughter at the end.
Now, so my vote for Pangborn is that he gets the gift, right? He is paralyzed. He's quite literally like, who is carrying him to Karmatage? Like I don't know. That's a good friend, like whoever that is.
Yep. Yeah,
that guy deserves the gift. I hope. Like, what do they do? Once they just drop him off and turn around? Like, what? They're like, all right, well, we'll see you later. They don't even stay for like a bed and breakfast or something. They don't have like the USA Today you can pick up and like stay overnight there. And
you know what? I know that Strange. You talk about how he's a dick and everything. Mordo is probably the biggest dick at the end of this because
of course, at the end of it.
I understand. Like we've talked before about how like when villains we all have greater perspective and how with villains, like a lot of times they are the hero of their story. There's no longer this, I'm going to see the world burn. Like they actually have purpose. Like even when you're listening to Caecilius, he has a purpose. He's an idiot because he didn't read the fine print, but in general, like he's kind of well-intentioned in the course of it all. Mordo, his intentions aren't exactly the worst either, but you see what he does to this poor guy who's legitimately minding his own business. That is a sorcerer you should just kind of leave alone in the course of it. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah, I agree. But Pangborn, like, he gets this gift, and he's like, nah, you know what? I'm not gonna save the world or anything. I just want to play pickup hoops in the city again. Yeah, like that's pretty cool. Yeah, like that was his dream. He's like, I could do like anything. I could alter my mind. I can make ropes out of sling rings and have a cool cape that kind of protects me like a dog, or I can just kind of be like a scoring guard and like a NYC pickup league.
And for that, Wes, I will give Pangborn my vote because I know how much you liked him in this movie.
Yeah, so I think that's that too. Yeah, I think that's a good one. How about the Terrence Howard Award for casting what ifs? This is pretty big here. This is quickly one of my favorite categories, especially when we do the origin movies, right? Because everything else is I kind of already cast at that point. But Stephen, let me know if any of these names jump out at you. Tom Hardy.
Never heard of him.
Jared Leto.
Who?
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
I can't.
Ethan Hawke. Your guy, Ewan McGregor, Oscar Isaac, Keanu Reeves, Jake Gyllenhaal, Colin Farrell, and Ryan Gosling, all rumored to be considered for the role.
Okay, so no to Jared Leto, no to Matthew McConaughey as much as I like him. No to Oscar Isaac, definitely no to Keanu Reeves for this role. No to Colin Farrell, no to Ryan Gosling. So Tom Hardy, I would consider. Hawk, no. McGregor, probably Gyllenhaal. I honestly, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, is one of the best actors of our generation. So I'm always like open to him in anything. You remember he's good too, but not for this role.
I think Oscar Isaac could have done that well. I think Jake Gyllenhaal could have done it well, but no one else from that really jumps out at me. It doesn't really fit. But that is pretty star-studded. And I think we talked about this in a couple past episodes, but how the MCU likes to have certain actors and they bring them in until they find the right role for everything. So what do we see with Oscar Isaac, Jake Gyllenhaal, a couple of these guys, right? Am I missing anyone else? Jared Leto? No. Yeah. Oscar Isaac and Jake Gyllenhaal, they keep bringing them back. And then Keanu Reeves, who's obviously mentioned in everything. They're like, all right, we're going to find the right fit for you here.
Mm-hmm. And Tom Hardy is, of course, Venom now, too. So I know.
Right. Yes. What's kind of in there.
I wonder, I do wonder, like, backdoor stuff. But if we had to say one here, it would be Jake Gyllenhaal for me.
Yeah.
100%. I'm always pretty much in any role. I'm comfortable with Jake Gyllenhaal taking on the responsibilities because he does such a good job. What was it?
And maybe Ewan McGregor. I see the Ethan Hawke in the look, in the face for it.
That's why I said.
But maybe Ewan McGregor could have done that too. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Did you ever see Prisoners?
Yeah,
I love that. I don't talk about that movie enough, and I don't know where that is on my like all-time rankings, but I fucking love that movie. That was so good.
That's on some streaming service right now, Prime or something right now.
So messed up. I got to rewatch that thing. So we're in agreement on Gyllenhaal then,
I think so. Yeah, with Oscar Isaac and Ewan McGregor in there.
As for the I Am Inevitable award for best quote, one of my favorites, Wes, what is your one nominee?
I also have a late edition here too, but the other one I think it kind of encapsulates everything from about this movie, but also to the audience too, kind of like what we talked about with Tenet. With it's like don't think about it, just feel, and that's kind of like the message to John David Washington and the audience. Like early on in the movie, it's forget everything you think you know. It's Mordo right before he says to Strange right before entering the doors of the Carmitage, right? Forget everything you think you know, and that's kind of like your message before entering this whole new world. And it's almost like Mordo speaking directly to the audience through the screen. They're breaking that fourth wall. So I kind of like that as a big kind of big idea, so to speak.
It's a good one.
And the other one is when Caecilius meets Doctor Strange for the first time, and he says, Mr. And then he says, Doctor. And he says, Mr. Doctor. And he's like, Strange, actually. He's like, it is kind of strange, but who am I to judge?
Yeah. That's a good back
That's a great exchange.
It is a great back and forth. It's definitely one of the better ones. And I think that's definitely it's a good candidate. Dormammu, I've come to bargain, is obviously became a meme and everything still kind of is. Just Wong, like Adele. I thought that whole thing was awesome. But I honestly, we're talking back and forth, Wes. I think yours probably trumps that. For me, my favorite quote in all this, though, is we never lose our demons, Mordo. We only learn to live above them. And that's from the Ancient One. And as much as yours is one that people will remember and is funny. I didn't remember this quote, but I do think it's pretty powerful one. And it's all about
like that a lot, Nick. As someone who knows anybody who's been through a 12-step program or dealt with addiction or anything like that, right? I think that's very applicable in anything. I like that a lot. I like that one, Nick. You deserve some credit for that. How about that?
Thank you very much. Well, credit to you for being so humble and not voting for your own nominees, because you did have one in there that could have given me a run for the money. But
a little bit.
But Wes, enough about us. Actually, no, wait a minute. No, it's still our time. We still got to do the Discharge Depot. I'm getting ahead of myself. My apologies.
Yeah. You want to hit that button real quick? No. It's time to get all aboard. The Discharge Depot is leaving the station, ladies and gentlemen. Nick, what did you do this weekend?
For me, my brother was in town and his lovely fiance, and actually got to meet my lady friend for the first time. So that went swimmingly. She got to meet the whole family. Like I had a cousin.
Were you nervous at all? Did you were you boozing a little more than usual? Or?
No, not at all. No. I had work after too, so it's like I can't really. But either way, it went well. It went very well.
Of course, you had work after.
She seemed to have it's weekend, dude. I mean, it's just how it is. For now at least. But anyways, it was it was a good time. I enjoyed it. And I don't think I was trying to think, did I watch anything? But I am going to throw my dad under the bus here. He binged Game of Thrones, and he texted me this last week, and Laura and I had talked to him about this. He said I wouldn't change anything about the way it ended. And I was like, Bran is your fucking king? Are you kidding me? Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense. He's actually he doesn't have, he gives you all the reasons. Like, but that's not fucking good. I'd rather have Cersei be the goddamn queen at the end of it all.
You want Cersei to be the queen?
I'd rather have Cersei be the queen at the end of that show, the way everything went.
No, you don't mean Cersei. You mean Daenerys Targaryen.
No, I love Daenerys, and I wanted Daenerys.
You wanted Cersei? Cersei Lannister.
Cersei's not my first pick, Wes, but I would rather have that show. Look, if I'm talking about like I'm living in that realm of like the whole according to Jim argument, then yeah, okay, Bran is the one I'm probably picking out of all of that. Maybe Jon Snow, but if I'm talking for the entertainment value of the show, I am absolutely picking Cersei over Bran as my queen. Absolutely, she's nuts.
Hot take, 5 years in the making.
I think most people would agree with that. I think most people would.
That might be an older take, Nick. I like it. It's throwing flames.
All right, maybe we'll tweet this out at some point then.
Yeah.
See what we can get at that. But what did you do this weekend, Wes?
Jeez, I'm taken aback by that. A lot of poolside chilling. Yeah, beautiful weather that we missed out on last weekend. I took a page out of my Mask Off Massachusetts Memorial Day weekend breakout bonanza extravaganza. I went to the chart room here, and had a mudslide and watched the sunset right into Katomet.
Did you wash your hands after?
What's that?
Did you wash your hands after?
Oh, mud pie, mudslide. Yeah, I get it. No, I did not actually because I want to build up immunities to it.
That's your show. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't Dave back this week?
Dave is coming back soon. I don't know if it's this week or not.
It's the 16th or something like that, right? Because I got to get on for the first season, so that way.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. You'll whip right through it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I will. Lauren likes it, so I mean, I guess I'm watching it with her. But
there you go.
So I got to get to the sea salt though. That's the one we got to do.
Yeah, get to the sea salt. I'm telling you, Falmouth's a nice little town, and we're going to see some houses this weekend. One we really love. So I would love if the listeners just out there maybe like put out some good juju, put out some good vibes our way. Mm-hmm. We've been sore losers, tough luck losers on a couple houses here. So hopefully this one's the one here.
You got to channel you got to line your chakras and all that stuff.
It would have a lovely office, so you don't have to see this like shitty wood living room stuff. Like I would actually have my own space.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I understand when you have your own space. I do respect that, but I do like your living room. Don't make
it's nice. I want my own place. I want my own yard. I want to cultivate plants and vegetables. I want to raise chickens and have eggs fresh out of a chicken's butt in the morning.
So I know that all that's bullshit, but the garden thing I thought you were serious about. I do not like gardening. I absolutely hate that.
No, I do. I want to do it.
You want to have a garden?
Yeah.
Good for you, Wes. Speaking of cultivating, though.
Shared universe.
All right, Wes. Dork has something a little fun planned. Do you want to tell the people what's going on aside from their episode, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It?
Yeah, they're doing something very cool this week. I wish I had a system for this. This would be a lot of fun. It's the hashtag Dork Cart Invitational, and I believe this is going on Arvon D's Twitch, Ryan Davies' Twitch stream.
Yes, sir.
So was that twitch.com /Arvon D?
I think it's twitch.tv/Arvon, but just search. Right. I'm just letting the people know.
I got the / there. That's the important part.
That is the important part.
If you know Twitch, you know where to go at that point.
Exactly. And Wes and I are not Switch guys. I have an Xbox, and I am not buying anything until the PS5 comes out for when. What is it? Because I don't play video games enough. The only game I play now is against Joe, and it's the show, and he kicks my ass every time now.
And this is cool. It seems like a really fun idea, right? So it's going to be 8 people. 200 cc's, right? And a crown a little winner here. I think we have Billy D doing some sort of cool graphics for it. So
yes,
I believe that's 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, depending on when you're listening to this. Maybe I don't know if you can catch a replay. I don't know if that works on Twitch.
They do replays. I do not know if Davey is going to do that, but I will absolutely be watching this thing. Maybe even pop in on the Discord while they're doing it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Mac and Goo did Canceled Movies Part 2.
Oh, and Dork is also doing The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That's their episode this week. Yeah.
I did mention that.
Right my apologies. I got so wrapped up in the Dork Card Invitation.
I know. It's just so exciting. Honestly, it does suck that we're not going to be able to do it. We just don't have the system. Let's see. As for the People for Communism podcast, speaking of slump busters, they are moving away from their whole political agenda, which I think is nice.
Big.
And they're going to be scrounging through Billy's porn collection, part 1. And I guess somehow Superbad ties into that. I'm not entirely sure, but
Is it super bad, or is it the 40-year-old virgin with Boner Jams 07?
Fuck.
You don't remember that? It's like Paul Rudd brings over all the porno.
So there you go. It's 40-year-old. It's 40-year-old virgin. And I don't remember that though. No. TLDR. Joe is talking Image Comics Coyote, and I am talking Boom Studios Red Mother. Which, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but my guy at Time Capsule said this is the best comic book of the last year. It was only 12 issues, and it started in December 2019 and ended last year.
The Red Mother or Coyotes?
The Red Mother. He said it's the best book of last year. So, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I'm almost done with it. And Joe and I both missed it. I do not know how. But the big news in the DSG this week, outside of the Dork Cart Invitational, is Get Help a Loki podcast is making its debut.
Yes, we have the new logo. If you're already subscribing on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you can access podcasts for that matter, you might have seen the updated logo there. Thank you once again, Billy D, for providing the graphics. But episode 1 on Wednesday, I know the episode's released, around 9 or so? Or I don't know when exactly. I got to hammer down the details. I imagine it might be around lunchtime that we do the live.
Just don't cross
stream.
over. Just don't do it at 1. That's all I'm going to ask, because that's when TLDR's on. And
Goo, man, we have a real war of the words then.
Yes, Goo tends to News Dump, and I've heard it both ways. By the way, they have episode 13 on I've Heard It Both Ways this week of season 2. They tend to not coordinate that well on Thursday. It's always they always seem to screw that up. So 1 to 2 is TLDR's time frame. So I'm asking you to please make sure that he does not go. I know he's tough with scheduling. But
yeah, it might be tough for me this week too, as I was telling you beforehand.
That's right.
So this week, we might have to, not have a set time for this week and next week. But the weird thing with the news dump, though, real quick, is typically I feel like the news dump should be recorded Friday morning and then released at 5 p.m. every Friday. That's what I just think it should happen.
Recorded Friday morning and then released that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the Friday news dump, right? Mm-hmm. That's like the whole joke?
Yes. No, I understand it should be recorded on Friday, but I feel like it should be released as soon as it's done recording. But
yeah, but again, whatever. You watch it in the morning and then release. Sometimes I don't get it until Saturday, and I'm like, what's going on here?
No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, you mean like that? Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I agree with you on that front. And then we have the streamers, of course. You mentioned Davey already, but Doc over is at Backcracker. And then Shime is Shime Time on Twitch. Make sure you guys are following them. I don't know if they're going to be doing anything for the Dork Card Invitational, but I would imagine it's all just going to be Davies, like you mentioned before, Wes. But
maybe it's just some preamps, some Grand Prix or something to warm up.
Yeah, maybe. Do you have anything planned for us for next week, or are we going to figure that out between now and then?
That's a good question. Let me see here.
It's been a while since we did a TBD.
Yeah, it might be. I think we might have a free play here. Let me pull it up.
Isn't Free Guy supposed to be coming out at some point soon too? Wasn't that the whole thing?
6/15. No, but we could do another Build the Cinema year. We could move that up a week.
We could do that. Let's see what's like. I feel like there's got to be something else that's like streaming out there too, or whatever that I liked, or I don't know. But we'll figure it out.
I don't know. Is that worth it?
Oh well, okay. Joe loved the book. We talked about it on TLDR, but he watched the first episode. I have not read the book. He said it's for people who haven't read the book. You will like it, but as someone who read the comic, like it leaves a little bit to be desired.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave it open. We'll see. Maybe something pops up. Maybe we'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me. So then, what is it? Same bat time, same bat place?
Yes, but always a different topic.